Story 1. Start. I recognized how my coworkers were all unhealthy, and I was not going to live that life. Stop. I sustained a significant injury and will be back at it as soon as possible. Story 2. I used to play computer games all day, and it really escalated when World of Warcraft hit the market. I literally played 16 hours a day for more than a year. I used to play a lot of football and be active, but that all ended when my obsession with computer games took over. My father was clearly frustrated with my endless laziness, so one day he took me to the gym with him since the local gym had a free week pass. He taught me a few exercises, guided me through various machines, and I actually ended up going all 7 days with him. After the week had passed, I told him I wanted a full membership, and of course he paid for it right away. I ended up training with my father for a few years until I moved out on my own. Good times. Now I'm bigger and stronger than my father, and I'm still going strong. Thanks, Dad. Story 3. I started because I needed to lose weight. That was 3 years ago. I reached my goal, and now going there is part of my normal routine. Story 4. I was very overweight and deeply depressed. My doctor told me I was at risk of dying young and would have a poor quality of life if I didn't take action quickly. It took a lot of effort, but now I am a certified personal trainer. Story 5. 2 things. 1. My casual partner ended our relationship. I wanted a revenge body. I was skinny fat but wanted to get lean and toned. Every attractive, younger man I was intimate with after that got to see a much better looking body. It's also very healthy and beneficial for many reasons. I wanted to experience those advantages. I can't lie, I appreciate how my body looks now, even though I am not dating anymore. Story 6. I dislike exercising in front of others and feel very self-conscious. If there were private workout spaces or rooms, I would go often. Story 7. Being a chunky kid, I wanted to lose weight. Now, I focus on overall health and fitness, and vanity is no longer a priority. Story 8. I used to watch wrestling every week. One morning, while watching, I told myself that if they could get fit, I could too. So, I started doing crunches a few minutes later. I was obese at around 11 or 12 years old. I began working out alone in my room every day and lost about 30 kilograms in 6 months. Then I joined a martial arts gym, complementing my training with calisthenics and some dumbbell and machine work. It has been totally worth it. After 20 years of practice and training, I earned a black belt, participated in many fights, achieved great sports results, improved my health, and experienced a lot of personal growth. I will never forget how a simple wrestling match on television helped me, and how Dragon Ball Z motivated me through every workout. I wrote this story once on Reddit. I placed a Vegeta sticker on my closet, and it felt like he was watching me every time I worked out, smiling with pride. I envisioned the ultimate form of Gohan and promised myself I would never stop until I reached that level of fitness. I managed to achieve it, and ironically, I also resemble Gohan a bit. My friends at the beach during my teenage years used to call me Mystic Gohan during our summer days. Story 9. I started because of sports, but I stopped because I dislike it. Every minute in the gym, I hear a voice in my head telling me I am not good enough. Story 10. I stopped going because I kept injuring myself. I experienced severe muscle pulls in my back. I would take time off to heal, return for a couple of weeks, and then injure my back again. Eventually, I lost interest. I wish I could get back into it, but I am not there mentally. Story 11. I really enjoy powerlifting, but the large amount of protein and vegetables I need to consume is what challenges me every time. Story 12. I felt jealous of my friends' gains. I will return to it sometime soon, though. Story 13. I used to go out frequently when I was younger, but with a job and a child, I no longer have the time or energy to go regularly. If I truly wanted to, I could make time, but that would mean sacrificing moments I would prefer to spend on activities I enjoy more. Story 14. I stopped exercising when I got pregnant because I have been very sick throughout my entire pregnancy. Normally, I go because it makes me feel better, and I know it is good for me. I look forward to being more active again. Story 15. I experienced body shaming throughout my childhood. I started going to the gym, lifting weights, and getting in shape. I won powerlifting competitions, dated attractive women, and achieved mental clarity. Story 16, Vapid Reasons. I wanted to look good, but then discovered it made me feel good and is part of my stress relief routine. Story 17. I went to the gym when I was young and had a lot of free time. I was single and wanted to look good. I increased my workouts when I became engaged, wanting to look good for the wedding and honeymoon. I continued my routine after we got married and had no children. I stopped going to the gym when the one about zero point 0.1 miles from my house closed down. I could walk there and it was very affordable. I tried a different gym for a while, but it was too crowded and not enjoyable. After that, my wife became pregnant and we had a baby. Additionally, my wife developed a chronic illness, and I had to care for her as much as for the child. By the time everyone is asleep, I just don't have the energy to go to the gym. Story 18. Ironically, my coworker motivated me to do better and improve. I have lost 25 pounds since December and have another 30 to go before I reach my goal. I have never felt happier. Story 19. People often comment on my broad shoulders and small hips. Yes, I have a genetic body structure classified as a triangle. Throughout my life, I have had wide shoulders regardless of my weight and a small, muscular backside. I always covered up with long t-shirts and sweaters and never bought leggings. Recently, I decided to break free from the stereotype that a woman should have a larger backside and allowed myself to wear fitted clothes. As a result, nearly everyone felt the need to suggest that I should enhance my backside. Okay, how do I expand my pelvic bone or reduce the circumference of my shoulders? Story 20. Retired from a physical job and soon realized it was essential to stay active, so I started going to the gym, essentially paying to maintain my fitness. The benefits are clear enough that stopping would feel like an act of self-harm. Story 21. I started going to the gym when I was 15. It's been a while, so I don't really remember why, but I probably wanted to get stronger and look better. I ended up stopping due to financial reasons, as I struggled for years to pay my bills, like utilities and groceries, despite rarely going out or buying things for myself. I literally couldn't afford a gym membership. Now, I am starting to do better financially and plan to get back to it in the coming months. Story 22. My breakup a couple of months ago motivated me to start exercising. The problem is that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I feel extremely weak. I struggle to build muscle or gain weight easily. Story 23. I started because I gained weight. I stopped because I have everything in the basement now. I just can't drop the weights during deadlifts because my wife will be unhappy. Story 24. A man got off the pec deck machine I was about to use. He stopped me and said, "Wait, let me wipe it down. You don't want to catch what I have. I don't want what he has, but I'm never coming back here." Story 25. I became a housewife and have plenty of time and energy now. I stopped going to the gym when I moved to Australia. The gym culture here is very toxic. I was body shamed by one personal trainer, and the other two aggravated previous injuries I told them we needed to work around. Now, I swim laps within the shark net at my local beach and go for a 12-kilometer walk once a week. I have 3 stops along this walk where I sit and read my Kindle for about an hour at each one. This ends up being a very relaxing day, but I still get my steps in, so it counts. Story 26. My strength and conditioning goals became achievable at home with minimal equipment, so there was no need to pay for a gym membership. Additionally, many gym-goers are becoming increasingly absurd with their fitness influencer personas. I have no time for that. Story 27. Start. Confidence in dating and relationships. I was consistent for over a year, and the progress was evident. Stop. Traumatic events, life changes, depression, anxiety, schedule changes, difficulty finding time and motivation. Story 28. I started going to the gym because I wanted to lose weight. As I continued, I aimed to build muscle and become stronger. I wanted to discover what my body was capable of. Now, I go regularly for the mental health benefits. Story 29. An attractive coworker inquired about my metabolism, saying it must be high. She showed me her latest bioscan results. I scheduled an introductory appointment, received a bioscan indicating a high metabolism, and had a 30-minute guided tour with a trainer. I ended up signing up for a membership and a personal trainer. My coworker eventually stopped going, and I have had to be reminded to take breaks. Story 30. After years of home workouts, I finally joined a local yoga class. The woman next to me was coughing loudly the whole time, and it was the least relaxing yoga session I've ever experienced. I didn't go back. Home workouts for the win. Story 31. Overcrowded and unusual people or people on their phones. Individuals with distinctive hairstyles wearing Vans or Converse shoes. Story 32. I have been involved in sports since I was 4. The gym is an integral part of my life. Growing up, I accompanied my dad to his gym, and as I got older, I began lifting weights. Going to the gym became a daily routine during high school and college. Now that I am 40, it feels strange not to go to the gym. Story 33. I stopped my membership due to the cost. I primarily use the basketball court, ping pong table, and track as I do calisthenics outside of playing sports. Therefore, it wasn't worth the membership fee anymore. Story 34. It was the end of the pandemic, and I realized that I had become very weak. I took 1,000 steps in the morning and felt exhausted for the rest of the day. So, I started attending group exercises 3 times a week. Gradually, my schedule changed, but I still go to the gym twice a week. Story 35. I stopped because I moved 15 minutes out of town and couldn't find the motivation to drive into town every day. I work from home and started dating someone who is a business owner, so after I finish working, I often help him with his office needs. It's my own decision, though. It's a trivial excuse, and now I need to find the motivation to change my habits again. Story 36. I realized I wouldn't even run to catch a bus I missed. What do I look like running? I already walk over 10 miles every day for work. Story 37. I was going to the gym consistently until I caught a severe case of COVID-19 in November 2022. Since then, I've been hesitant about going back. I do go occasionally, but I really struggled after my illness. That was the only time I had it, too. Story 38. Motivation for going to the gym can come from anything that drives you, such as stressful times, heartbreak, a dislike of your reflection, or having free time. Story 39. I retired last December and joined a gym to keep myself active. I go 3 times a week, using the walking machine for 30 to 40 minutes, followed by swimming for 45 minutes. I enjoy it, and it helps me stay out of my wife's way. Story 40. I was a smoker some time ago. One day, I was helping to move furniture down a flight of stairs at my school and had to sit down to catch my breath. That's when I said, "Forget this." Story 41. In the past, I would become a regular at the gym after a breakup. Now that I am married and have a 1-year-old, it has become challenging to maintain consistency, even with a gym in my basement. These days, I struggle to find both time and energy. I rarely have them at the same time. Story 42. I wanted to be able to run and play with my children. I wanted to hold them while we walk around the zoo and to jump and climb so I can play hide and seek and go down the slides that have lots of stairs with them. Story 43. Off and on for me, a shoulder injury led me to physical therapy, and I really enjoyed having a program and working hard every week. In the cold Midwest, spring usually helps. I actually started going again this month. Story 44. I tried baking bread and other small things. My friends often talk about drinking and invite me to parties. So I started enjoying my runner's high. I consistently run without a set time. I try to complete it before the day ends after my classes. If I can't run, I take my dog for a long walk. Story 45. I would walk around my neighborhood just to get out of bed. Then I started going to the gym to work on cardio and Pilates. I stopped going because the weight room smelled horrible. Maybe it was because it was my community college gym, but it was unbearable. Now I stick to my walks. Story 46. I had lost over 50 pounds and was finally comfortable with my body, going from 260 to 210. I decided I wanted to keep some of my figure and not completely slim down. I confirmed with my doctor that my health was no longer in jeopardy. So, I stopped going to the gym and just walked or ran a few times a week while still watching my portions. I am maintaining my weight. Story 47. I started after high school due to my friends and involvement in sports. I continue now because I have a job that is demanding and requires being in good physical shape. Story 48. I have always been active and an athlete. However, after having a child, I constantly felt tired and lacked time. This led to increased fatigue and decreased energy. I hope to start being active again soon now that my child is beginning to sleep through the night. Story 49. I started because I did not want to live an unhealthy life. Watching my mother struggle with her health has truly inspired me to pursue the healthiest life possible. Story 50. I exercise at home. The cost of the membership to my gym keeps increasing. I am not a fan of working out in front of others, and I am not there to be social. I enjoy exercising at home. Story 51. I lost weight and then started going to the gym. I felt much more confident being there and was able to breathe while working out. Story 52. I realized I could create a gym schedule that fit my work routine quite easily. I haven't yet, but I absolutely have been slacking lately. I don't know why I still go, but my heart isn't in it at the moment. Maybe it's due to depression, or maybe it's just how I feel right now. Story 53. I started because a group of colleagues from work went, and the promotion was too good to pass up. I stopped after a month because going to the gym after an 8 to 10 hour workday was exhausting, and trying to go on my days off for errands and chores wasn't working. This was almost 20 years ago now, and I highly doubt I will ever go back to a regular gym. I would rather just do some weights and walk at home. Story 54. I was on the larger side and met some of my wife's family. In their country, being overweight is not very common, so they constantly made comments about my size. When I came home, I started CrossFit and Weight Watchers. I lost about 80 pounds and was wearing the same size pants as when I was in high school. I became really interested in powerlifting and trained heavily for that. Then COVID-19 hit and the gym closed, causing me to gain back all the weight. I returned to powerlifting but struggled to lose the weight. I took a few years away from the gym. Now I'm back at it and back on Weight Watchers again. I've lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks and am lifting heavy 3 to 4 days a week. It's great for managing depression and anxiety. Story 55. Want to be in shape and maintain physical and mental health. I prefer to have a private gym with only the necessary equipment. I'm annoyed by crowded gyms now. Story 56. Once, I experienced a period of illness that made it difficult to return to my routine after recovering. A second time, I faced the loss of my grandmother, and during that time, going to the gym was not something I felt capable of doing. Story 57. I started working away from home for a month and needed something to do. I haven't stopped. It's been 14 years. Story 58. Started general health, improved sleep, mental well-being. Stopped my boyfriend, who is much more of a fitness enthusiast than I am, was checking out women at the gym and texting his friends about how bad and submissive and breedable other girls were while working out. I tried working out at a gym twice since then and just spiraled the whole time, worrying about what girls around me he might see like that, whether I am someone others would look at like that, and why I even care. I was in a persistent state of panic. It's like I simultaneously want to be objectified and feel disgusted by the thought of being objectified, and I can't stand it. It's been a few months now, and I've been working out at home and trying to rebuild my self-image, but that situation really did, and truthfully continues to do, a number on me. I can't lie. I was at a sports store and tried looking at sports bras, hoping to jumpstart my confidence, but it literally made me start crying because all I could think about was how I'm nothing like the people he was casually objectifying with his friends. I had to leave the store. I tried again at a Marshall's a few weeks ago and was able to look at things, but the second I went into the dressing room and started trying things on, I had a panic attack again. Those gym shorts that are supposed to make it look like you have a Brazilian butt lift are all over my social media feed, and the pressure to fit into certain beauty standards is so close to overwhelming my insecurities. But I'm trying not to just put a band-aid on the core issue. I don't like to think I'm naturally insecure, but this whole thing feels inescapable. I'm working up the courage to start at a new gym sometime in the next couple of days, but I'm so scared. A few months ago, I was doing so poorly because of it all that I think it would have properly debilitated me. Now, it will still be extremely nerve-wracking, and I know I'll be incredibly uncomfortable, but at a certain point, I need to push myself beyond my limits, and I feel like I'm ready enough to try again. I didn't mean to make this a whole thing, but if anyone has any insight, I would appreciate any advice I can get. Story 59. I started when I realized I was holding my horse back, and I needed to be just as athletic as she is to compete with her. I stopped because I am recovering from the flu right now, but I am eager to go back. Story 60. Back in the 1980s, I was sitting on the couch, eating ice cream and watching television. I decided this wasn't healthy, so I joined a gym and have been working out ever since. Story 61. Body dysmorphia from day one, with a constant feeling of never looking the way I want. To change that feeling, I have been working on it for years. Story 62. I started because I gained too much weight. I stopped because I have chronic fatigue. I can still do light weights and some cardio, but it is uncomfortable afterward. Takes me several days to recover. Story 63. I refuse to be out of shape and I need to increase my cardio because I should not be winded after one flight of stairs. Story 64. I haven't started yet, but I hope to begin within the next 6 months to a year. I want to become stronger through martial arts. Story 65. Addict was always into working out, but since getting sober, I made the gym my new addiction, which helped me establish the routine I needed. Story 66. I started playing soccer for fun with some friends. While I am nowhere near competent at the game, I researched physique and conditioning to improve my performance. Having strong muscular legs is key, so I decided to focus on that and never looked back. Story 67. The gym I occasionally visit has great classes, is very close, and is incredibly inexpensive. However, there are about 3 people who regularly attend the classes I enjoy, and they have become like the kids they teach. The cattiness and passive-aggressive behavior became distracting. I want to enjoy a challenging workout, not feel like I'm trying to avoid getting on a middle schooler's bad side. Story 68. I weighed 290 pounds, and my knees and ankles were hurting. Now I weigh between 280 and 290 pounds with achy knees and ankles, but I have considerable muscle development. Story 69. I started to become thin, but I stopped because of school and depression, and I moved further away from the gym. I regained everything I lost, and I lost all my strength. I must start going again. Story 70. I stopped going to the gym for several reasons. It was time-consuming to travel to and from the gym. Membership costs were high. Gas expenses added up. The gym was often overcrowded, resulting in long wait times. It was difficult to maintain proper gym etiquette. I decided to create my own home gym, which includes adjustable dumbbells up to 80 pounds, kettlebells, a pull-up bar, an adjustable bench, and an indoor trainer bike. Given how often I use it, I find that this setup is more cost-effective for me. Story 71. Look and feel better, lose weight. I also enjoy it. I lost my motivation after the holidays due to seasonal depression. It's time to start again and revisit my initial goals. Story 72. Autistic hyperfixation. My favorite bar closed. 3 breakups in 3 weeks. And I had been wanting to quit drinking, drugs, and smoking for ages, but I had never found the motivation. With the breakups and the bar closing, I finally found some motivation to go to the gym. I got a membership and I have been going every day. It hasn't even been a week yet, but I am feeling much better. Except for last night when I had an anxiety attack and started drinking again. But that's okay. Story 73. The girl who broke my heart worked out there. It was best for me to find a new place mentally. Heartbreak can be good fuel, but starting with a family member or friend who is also motivated helps. I love friendly competition. We always want to beat each other during the workout, but when the workout is over, it's all support. Story 74. I'm just burnt out from work, and I would be spending 1 to 2 hours at the gym away from home with my pets. Plus, I was going hardcore, and that wasn't great for my polycystic ovary syndrome, so light walks with the dog it is. Story 75. I started after having a physical with my family doctor in 2022 and found out I was 30 pounds more than I thought I was. I stopped because I got back to 150 pounds, toned my body, and started to play adult league soccer while also working out at home. I dislike the gym and prefer not to go. Story 76. I took a semester of weightlifting in junior high and loved it. I disliked physical education and team sports, so this experience opened my eyes to a different way of exercising. In my early 20s, I started going to the gym with a friend who wanted to get fit. She quickly stopped, but I kept going. I became a personal trainer and group fitness instructor at 30 years old. Now I am 41, weightlifting regularly, and still occasionally training clients on the side. Story 77. I started because, honestly, I couldn't have the same stamina and flexibility I had when I was younger. I was also tired of holding my breath when I needed to bend over to tie my shoes. Story 78. My wife has always enjoyed exercising, specifically at Orange Theory, and has gone religiously 5 days a week for the last 7 years. I am not overweight but felt more like skinny fat, where you look fine but know inside how poorly you have been taking care of yourself. I started running initially, and after 3 months, I was doing 6 miles a day 3 days a week. I decided I would rather be in the gym than running all the time and switched to lifting last July. Now it has turned into something I do 3 times a week for 2 hours a day, and I have seen a serious transformation in how I look and feel. I am thankful to have a spouse who enjoys exercising, and I believe a significant part of my decision to start exercising was to be around longer and healthier to enjoy my later life with her and our children. Story 79. I realized something needed to change when I ran out of breath while trying to tie my shoes. Then I saw a statistic that claimed it could enhance confidence, which seemed more important than breathing during shoe tying. I lost over 70 pounds in a year and a half. Story 80. I suffered an injury to my hip flexor and received physical therapy, which led to training between appointments. I worked out even more when COVID-19 hit. However, after contracting the virus, I stopped working out and lost my stamina. I struggled to regain the rhythm I had established between 2020 and 2021. The pandemic in February 2022 set me back. Work and age made it challenging to return to my routine, but I have solid plans for this summer. I currently work out 3 to 4 times a week, compared to my previous routine of 6 times a week for 1.5 hours each day. Now, I aim for 30 to 45 minutes per session, but I am making progress. Story 81. Knee and shoulder surgery motivated me to take action. Being in good shape before and after surgery makes a significant difference. Story 82. The fear of osteoporosis and being stuck in a chair when I am old is not appealing. I have things to do and see. Story 83. I was getting so pumped that I went every day. Since I work in the refineries, I didn't have time to go to the gym. I lost it all and I try to go now, but it just doesn't feel the same. I often walk out and go to Burger King. Story 84. Started. A friend encouraged me to start lifting at the gym. Stopped. I sustained a shoulder injury that I have aggravated multiple times since then. Story 85. A child I was babysitting said to her sister, "Do you want to be overweight like Mrs. Ashley? Then don't eat junk food." I started going to the gym that day and have been going back 5 to 6 times a week. Story 86. I was small and trying to pursue a career in sports. The gym led to a full scholarship that paid for my first bachelor's degree. It then became a job while I was in school the second time, and I have maintained that lifestyle and will likely continue for the rest of my life. Story 87. Although I have never gone to a gym, I regularly exercise at home. I have always been a stereotypical nerd. I never played sports and I was weak for most of my life. Beginning in my mid-30s, my lack of physical activity started to catch up with me. I occasionally hurt my back while doing non-strenuous activities. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I gained about 20 pounds while working from home. The two things that convinced me I needed to change my lifestyle were the fear of aging poorly and societal attitudes toward body weight. I wanted to be able to move and be active for as long as possible, and I had started to resemble a character in photos which I disliked. I began to carefully monitor my caloric intake and lost the extra weight over a few months. I also started rowing regularly. For a long time, I convinced myself that rowing was sufficient because it combines aerobic exercise and resistance training. However, I knew it wasn't real strength training, which is also important for long-term health. Just this past week, After procrastinating for about a year, I started a routine recommended in a bodyweight fitness community. Story 88. I have never been unhealthy or overweight, but I have two reasons to dedicate myself. I am 48 years old and have three children, aged 9, 7, and 5. I want to be around for a long time for them and be able to play an active role in their lives. I want to coach soccer teams and play outside while also setting a good example for them. Additionally, I am the fittest among my coworkers, which makes me feel good. Story 89. In the spring of 2023, I ended up in the hospital. An undiagnosed conflict between attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism caused over 30 years of insomnia, anxiety, and depression, to the point where I was dying from malnourishment and exhaustion. When I got out, I weighed 130 pounds at 6 feet 1 inch. I looked like a Holocaust victim. After my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder medication kicked in, I looked at myself and knew I had to make a change. I adopted a healthy diet and started working out. 2 years later, I weigh 170 pounds. I look great and feel even better. I am alive. I have energy and I can sleep. I started going to the gym to gain weight, and now it's such a part of my routine that taking a rest day is difficult without exercising. Story 90. I started because I lived a very physical life with a physical job and hobbies. Additionally, I was bored. I stopped because I became busy. I wake up at 5 a.m., get my son and myself ready, leave home at 6:30 a.m., and return home from work around 5:30 p.m. I then clean up, do laundry, help with homework, make dinner, and eat between 6:30 and 7 p.m. After cleaning up, I sit down around 8 p.m., get the kids ready for bed around 8:30 p.m., and they are in bed by 9 p.m. I go to bed myself around 9:30 or 10 p.m. and wake up to do it all over again. Story 91. Started because of mental health benefits and the low life expectancy for men in my family. Out of the hundreds I know of, only one reached 70 and barely. Story 92. I stopped going to the gym because I grew tired of waiting for equipment and people not wiping it after they used it. I began assembling my own home gym, and once I had what I needed, I canceled my membership. Story 93. I found a boxing class that I really enjoyed at the gym. Later, I discovered a running club that I enjoyed even more. Story 94. There's too much negativity in this thread. My girlfriend left me, so I decided to work on myself. I started training to become stronger, faster, and better than my opponents. The results have been spectacular. Story 95. Burning the candle at both ends involves working a full-time physical labor job while attending night classes. I am currently feeling both mentally and physically exhausted. Story 96. I've always been a big guy. Not huge, but definitely overweight. Playing with my kids and carrying them around was a lot of exercise and fun too. However, shoulder rides hurt my back sometimes. Then one day, while watching television, my back went out. No big deal, I thought. I'll see the doctor and rest. I went to the doctor and they referred me to a chiropractor. My back issues were caused by weak back muscles that had spasmed. What do you mean weak? I asked. You are big, but your muscles are weak. I see 80-year-old women who are stronger than you. They provided me with exercises to strengthen my back, which I found a bit embarrassing since I was only 40. I followed their advice, built some strength, and decided I didn't want this to happen again, so I joined a gym. They set up a training regimen for me, but I didn't have the cardiovascular fitness to actually progress. They recommended swimming to improve my cardio. The problem was I couldn't swim. So, I learned to swim and worked on my cardiovascular fitness, but I still didn't have the stamina to swim for long periods. That's when I started circuit training. 10 years later, I'm still a big guy, but I'm the fittest I have ever been. Faster, stronger, and overall just better than before. Also, I'm halfway to my Kung Fu black belt. Now, where's my beer? Story 97. I was consistently going out, but then my mom died, and all I want to do is sleep. I sleep 8 to 12 hours and still feel like my eyes are heavy and I am mentally exhausted. I don't have the willpower to go out. I would rather nap. I work, then shower, then nap, and repeat. I want to go back to my normal routine, but I need more motivation, and sleeping seems much better. My mom passed away a year ago, and I've managed to go out maybe 4 or 5 times since then, but I can't maintain a consistent routine. I wish I could figure out what to do to help myself. Story 98. I started because I needed a vice that wasn't drinking, and I don't plan on ever stopping. I have been going consistently for almost 3 years now, limiting drinking to once per week, and I look and feel so much better. Story 99. People can be unclean, and I was fortunate enough to afford equipment to build a nice home gym where I can be alone. Story 100. I gained weight, so I started going to the gym. I lived in a shared house with 4 other colleagues 5 miles away from work, but my gym was only 1 mile from the office on the way home. Instead of going home to see the people I interacted with all day, I went to the gym, worked out, and then enjoyed the spa for the rest of the evening every day for a few years. Then I moved to a 1-bedroom cottage on a farm in a remote area, working at my new job where the nearest gym was far out of the way. As a result, going home became easier and more pleasant, which is why I stopped going to the gym. Story 101. I went to the glasses store wearing a white hoodie. Suddenly, a worker started pointing at me and said, "Put that down." I turned around and saw a thief using me as a wall to steal a bunch of glasses. After that, I said, "No way. Now I've lost 30 pounds. Story 102. I got really sick with mononucleosis and couldn't go. I never fully recovered. I only have about 75% of the energy that I had in my mid-20s. I also developed postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome and myalgic encephalomyelitis/chronic fatigue syndrome after getting mononucleosis and COVID-19 consecutively. I can't exercise anymore, which is disappointing because I miss my climbing gym. Story 103. I have been successful in avoiding the gym, primarily because of the presence of certain individuals. My attendance ceased when I tore my rotator cuffs. Almost 20 years later, I still have not had them examined due to financial constraints. I intended to resume my workouts, but then I injured my knee. Perhaps going to the gym is not meant for me. Story 104. I built a garage gym. Now I no longer have to go to a commercial gym. It's well equipped with a power rack that includes pull-up bars and a pulley system, a landmine attachment, a leg attachment, a treadmill, an exercise bike, a rower, adjustable dumbbells, a men's barbell, a women's barbell, a trap bar, a curl bar, approximately 500 pounds of bumper plates, and 200 pounds of iron plates. I have all the bands and attachments you will need. I also have horse stall mats with plenty of room to work out. Additionally, I have a television for watching shows and a gaming console for playing games. Overall, I would estimate that I spent about $4,000 building it over the years. This equipment may not be industrial strength, but my maximum squat is 300 pounds and my deadlift is 350 pounds. I do not require professional-grade equipment. Is it worth it? It costs about $30 a month to go to a gym, and my wife would incur about another $30. That totals around $700 a year, so it pays for itself in about 5.5 years. However, I could likely sell all this equipment on a resale market for about $2,000 to $2,500, so the actual time frame is more like a few years. This gym will last longer than that. There are some trade-offs. I don't have access to specialized machines. However, I am not into hardcore bodybuilding, which is really what those machines are designed for, in my opinion. Pulleys, bands, barbells, and dumbbells can provide a similar workout. Another obvious consideration is that you need a garage for this setup. Since I live in California, parking outside isn't a major issue, but you do lose some space. The significant advantage is that this gym is entirely yours. There's no need to re-rack weights, no need to watch someone else's television choices, and no need to drive anywhere. If you only have 15 minutes to spare, you can take a 5-minute walk and complete a quick set of barbell rows, squats, or whatever you choose. You don't have to make going to the gym a big deal, which is extremely beneficial, especially when you have children. Once the kids are in bed, you can fit in a quick half-hour workout. Story 105. When I was younger, I went to the gym because I had access to a nice facility for free, lived within walking distance, and gained too much weight during my freshman year. What also helped was that most of my friends dropped out of college or transferred. I didn't like my roommates and I felt lonely. I did extensive research, lost weight quickly, and gained a significant amount of muscle. I could have done without strangers constantly asking how much I benched, but my quick progress kept me motivated. I stopped when I graduated because my girlfriend, now my wife, didn't like me coming home from work so late, and I was unwilling to work out at 5 a.m. I've been working out on and off since then, but have never been able to find a good routine. Feeling out of shape motivated me. I'd like to live as long as I can. I have a home gym now, which you would think would make it easier, but I have been battling shoulder injuries, so I don't work out as much as I would like, and it has become a convenient excuse. Story 106. I stopped because there is only one gym nearby, and it is always crowded, even at 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. I disliked waiting in line just to use a bench or any equipment. I bought a bench, some dumbbells, and a rowing machine for my home workouts. Story 107. I started because I got tired of being scrawny, feeling like a comic relief character in life, and generally looking like I came out of a charity pamphlet. Additionally, I realized my life wasn't going in any direction. I couldn't defend myself in a fight even with martial arts training, and I was overlooked by many people for how physically weak I appeared. After more than 10 years of gym training and some therapy, my life has purpose. I feel good when I look at myself in the mirror, and I feel happy with my own foundational strength and size. I've only stopped training when I experienced injuries. Story 108. I now have 3 vertebrae fused in my neck, a metal pin in one wrist, and some nerve damage as a result of this. If I do push-ups, my left arm shakes as if it has had too much caffeine. I try some lifting, and within a few days my shoulders are in agony. I also have tendinitis. I can use very light weights and do many repetitions. However, going to a gym seems like a waste of money to me. I used to go regularly and was very fit. Now it feels like I'm held together with duct tape and glue. Story 109. Being small and skinny as a child, I now have to go regardless of how I feel inside. Story 110. Quitting alcohol led me to a life reset and motivated me to work out for the first time. This combination has improved my mental health from a low point to nearly perfect. Story 111. I have stopped attending nursing school. My evening work shift has been unusual. I feel paralyzed after attempting another leg day workout and remain sore 4 days later. For now, I can just drink Celsius and do bodyweight exercises to build muscle. As for my slight motivation, my boyfriend is in the military and is very fit, so I feel the pressure to stay in shape. Story 112. A very attractive coworker asked me to go running with her. I started running, which led to an introduction to a trainer at a local gym. Initially, I wanted to lose weight, build strength, and achieve defined abs. Now, I just want to move through the world pain-free and with relative ease. I also noticed how many men my age or younger were experiencing physical ailments, heart disease, and other health issues, so I decided that I didn't want that for myself, my wife, or my child. It was a game changer. I started when I was 45 and turned 55 last week. Story 113. Going on a long hike and then feeling sick the rest of the night made me realize I needed to take action and get in better shape after wanting to do so for so long. Story 114. I started going because I moved to a different state for 2 years without knowing anyone besides my brother, but he was deployed for a while. I could either be depressed alone or take advantage of the lack of distractions. I stopped going once I moved back to my hometown, and all the distractions overwhelmed me again. Story 115. Seeing how much my grandparents physically deteriorated has been difficult. They struggle to stand and transfer. I researched tests that predict long-term strength and mobility. While I am unsure of the validity of these tests, I realized I could only meet about half of the targets, which motivated me to start working out again. Story 116. I lost my job. It's one of the first things to go. I have a few items at home. Walking and running help me stay fit. Story 117. I pushed myself too hard and almost passed out. My heart rate quickly dropped from 160 to the 90s. Both arms started to feel numb, and everything fell silent with a ringing sound. I have been scared to return ever since, but I really want to go back. Story 118. My brother was participating in a bodybuilding show. We lived together and I decided to train with him. That was 9 years ago, and I have been working out consistently since then. Story 119. I tried mental therapy with mixed results, but swimming helps me. Decades of daily swims clear my mind. Story 120. I like how I look, and it helps me on my bad days. I am also my greatest competitor. I love to compete with myself. Story 121. The feeling I get after a long, intense workout is uplifting. Whether you call it a runner's high or something else, it feels very satisfying, especially knowing that I am prioritizing my health. Story 122. My mother was bedridden. She had cancer and we lived in a two-story house. Sometimes she would have accidents and the showers were upstairs. It was a struggle to carry her up the stairs. I decided that if I wanted to be dependable, I needed to be stronger for the people I love. Story 123. I weighed 75 kilograms, got married, found a good job with good pay, and enjoyed the summer. We indulged in food and drank alcohol excessively, which led to a weight gain of 89 kilograms. A few years later, I became a father. My back started to ache within a few weeks, and I struggled to lift my son, who weighed 6 kilograms, for more than 10 minutes. After being alone for 6 months, I joined a martial arts class and began going to the gym, bringing my weight down to 76 kilograms with my family by my side. I incorporated workouts into playtime. My son, who now weighs 10 kilograms, is essentially my weight. I can hold and carry him for more than 30 to 45 minutes, and he enjoys it. Story 124. I have been wanting to lose the extra weight I gained during the pandemic for a while, but I finally checked my weight and body mass index, and it indicated that I am overweight, which made me anxious. Story 125. Start to be healthier and to look better. Stop. Basically, there has been no progress. I have a decent muscular dad bod, but I do not see myself gaining muscle or becoming a heavily built individual with visible abs. My genetics do not seem to allow it. I still lift weights and do cardio, but when I say I stopped, I mean I stopped being the person who is at the gym for over an hour each day and talks about fitness constantly. I lived that lifestyle until I realized I would never reach my goals. Now, I mostly maintain my current state. Story 126. After finishing school, I had much more spare time to exercise. I do it 3 to 4 times a week now, and I feel much better about my health these days. My mental health, on the other hand, could use some improvement. Story 127. Joining my mother-in-law's community membership has given me time between the end of my workday and school pickup. Having this space in my day makes it easier to get in a decent workout a few times a week. I also appreciate the Kid Zone, which allows for up to 2 hours of drop-off care a day, providing enough time to attend a class or do some weightlifting. Story 128. Stop the individuals who monopolize a piece of equipment, do one repetition, look at themselves in the mirror for 30 minutes and waste my time. I would never return due to the influencer nonsense. Story 129. The first day, the instructor made me run up and down the stairs. I have stairs at home as well. Story 130. Money, I finally could afford it. The happiness I feel when I finish a workout is what keeps me going. I have never skipped a day yet. I have been going 3 days a week for 2 years. Story 131. There are very few things in life that consistently deliver results that match your effort. Relationships do not. Faith does not. Work generally does not. Exercise and a healthy diet do. Story 132. I want to be better than other men. Most people lack the pride and discipline to go to the gym consistently, especially since many understand that it does not significantly improve success with women. Story 133. To improve at ice hockey, I consistently went to the gym toward the end of 2019. After a break, I planned to resume my workouts around March 2020, but I took a longer break, gained weight, and started playing hockey in 2022. I recently returned to the gym about a month ago, and I am already seeing significant improvements in my skills. I weigh less, my endurance has increased, and I have more strength in my shots. I do not plan to stop or let myself go again, as I disliked how I looked for years. I am very satisfied with the progress I have made, and I look forward to further improvements. Story 134. Start school sports. Stop. Series of injuries not related to sports. Never restart. Depression and various life circumstances. Story 135. After living a sedentary lifestyle for many years, I have developed several health issues that have prompted me to change my lifestyle. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.